and welcome to Moneylife News and Views. I'm Devashish Basu. Every few days, the state comes across as a vile bully in a schoolyard who takes pleasure in taking apart other helpless kids. You never know who's next. The state's moves are absolutely arbitrary. But one department that is relentless in inventing new ways of harassment is the Revenue Department. Since early April, the Income Tax Department has been sending out notices seeking to reassess tax liability for financial years 2013-14, 14-15, and 15-16. The department has decided that despite draconian measures such as disclosures, linking of accounts and assets, and smarter use of data analytics, widespread scrutiny, some people are apparently escaping assessment of taxes. Now here goes a typical text, the text of a typical notice that people have been getting. Dear so-and-so, which is PAN number, the Income Tax Department has issued a notice for orders for assessment year 2013-14 under section 148. Kindly submit online response in case of notice by login to e-filing account so-and-so. Several tax experts tell me that many of their clients have got these notices despite being diligent taxpayers. Why now? The tax department has of course been issuing such notices every year, but this has now become a very large number in the last few months. And that is because the department apparently does not want such suspected cases to be time barred, so it has slapped notices to initiate action. In the Union Budget of 2021, the government changed the law for assessment of proceedings or reopening completed assessments from this year onwards. The department cannot issue a notice anymore if 3 years have elapsed from the end of the end of the assessment year. It is 10 years if the unassessed income is 50 lakhs or more. The earlier time limit for this was about 6 years. So when the 3-year limitation was announced, everyone hailed it as another step in making the life of the taxpayer easier. This rule of 3 years was supposed to come into effect from 1st April 2021, meaning that notices under the previous law, which is a 6-year rule, was supposed to be issued by 31st March 2021 for the assessments years prior to 2016-17. Tax experts hoped that reassessment notices would focus on high-value transactions or big mismatches rather than going for small taxpayers, because the department has all the data. One naively expected that the intent of the department was to reduce tax litigation. Not surprisingly, this hope was belied. Firstly, the department has on its own extended the time limit of the old law to 30th June 2021. Now imagine the consequences. Here is a law which says you cannot issue notices for X number of years. But despite that law, the department has issued its own notification and extended that without going through the parliament. Secondly, business, companies, professionals, even retired people have been hit with such notices. In a most perverse example of tax bullying, someone I know has got 3 notices of reopening his assessment minutes before the midnight of June 30th. Stung by such patently unfair notices, many have rushed to high courts, arguing in writ petitions that this is absolutely illegal. More than a dozen assessors, say media reports, have got an interim stay in different high courts, whether it's in Bombay, Delhi, or Calcutta. But it is the hallmark of a bully, of course, to ignore logic and rationale. And hence, like previous bullying governments, this one too is exploring legal options, including bringing an ordinance to legitimize the time-barred reassessment notices that they have been issuing. It's also another example of using technology to harass rather than make life easier for the taxpayers. The tax department has argued that since it has relaxed or extended several other tax compliance related deadlines in the second wave of the pandemic, it's within its rights to unilaterally extend this rule as well. Assessors cannot pick and choose which extension of the deadline they want to oppose. If assessors have got relaxation, the government machinery should also get relaxation, goes this perverse argument. Now this of course is completely laughable, because extending departmental deadlines, which is well within the powers of the government, is completely different from extending the deadlines of a law that has been overridden by a new law. As one court order has pointed out, the notification is contrary to the settled principles of statutory interpretation, namely that any action that is taken post the amendment of a procedural section would have to abide by the new procedures stipulated in the amended act. Further, it is of the view that by virtue of a notification which is a delegated legislation, the date for implementation of a statutory provision cannot be changed. Over the years, this government, obsessed with alliterative dazzle, has talked about transparent taxation and honoring the honest. It has introduced tax charter which commits the department to provide a fair and just system. But whether in taxation of domestic taxpayers or fighting international cases like Cairn Energy, Antrix-Devas case or Vodafone, the department has consistently acted arbitrarily and unfairly. The maddening new tax portal foisted on people with characteristic fanfare has invited Twitter comments like these. Filed returns disappear. More than 8 lakh grievances registered in less than 2 months. Only God can save up the professionals and taxpayers. What about the much touted faceless assessments? A tax consultant tells me that while tax scrutiny has gone down because of faceless assessment, being algorithm driven, many such cases have been rejected by the tax authorities, and hence appeals have shot up. So I have filed more appeals in the last 2 years than in the past 7, says Nikhil Vadia, a Mumbai-based tax consultant. In October 2018, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a master of memes and alliterations, had said, paying tax is prakriti. Not paying tax is vikriti, which is deformity. But paying tax plus doing something is sanskriti. Now that's the ruler's point of view. The subjects would like to rephrase the same thing as follows. Demanding tax is prakriti, reopening tax assessments illegally is vikriti, by reducing friction measurably between tax department and taxpayers is sanskriti. If you liked listening to this particular video and watching this particular video, please do subscribe. Thanks for watching.